What do you see as the likely future of coal, oil, and natural gas, and why?
Coal, oil, and natural gas had a great run, but in the great transition we talk about how coal, oil, and natural gas will soon be on their way out. Now they dominate the world's energy supply, but in many parts of the world we're seeing coal already has peaked and is going down. In some big countries like the United States, many in Europe as well, and Australia as well. In the United States, coal use has fallen 21% since 2007. And the main reason for that is people are looking for alternatives. Natural gas prices have been lower, so some coal-fired power plants have closed and switched to natural gas. But then we have these new energy sources, wind and solar in particular, where their costs are falling and they're starting to take over more of the market. So there's a great campaign against coal. Sierra Club has been instrumental in mobilizing groups around the country. It's called Beyond Coal, and they count that of the country's 500 some coal-fired power plants, already 108 have closed or announced that they soon will be closing. And so this is why we're seeing no one wants to put any money behind coal anymore. The stocks of the major coal-related companies such as Peabody, the U.S. largest coal producer, have been plummeting, and Peabody got kicked out of the S&P 500 because of its poor performance. None of the smart money is going to these antiquated, to coal at all. Oil use as well is still climbing on a global level, and we have many countries where they're trying to emulate the U.S. car-heavy lifestyle, but it's not going to work. There's just not enough land in the world for everybody to have a car. And in many places where we're now mostly urbanized worldwide, people are looking for other ways to get around. How do we redefine mobility? So in the United States, we're already past peak oil use. Oil use has been falling since about 2004. It's dropped 8.5%. And that's for a number of reasons. One, vehicle fuel efficiency has been improving, but people are also starting to drive less. People are doing more car sharing, public transportation, bike sharing is also popping up in now over 800 cities around the world. So there's new alternatives of cars. Young people are just not as interested in getting driver's licenses as in generations before. It's the love affair with the car is over. So we're seeing us move away from oil.
And are you seeing, speaking of the cars, are you seeing a little bit more of a move toward electric cars as well, so that they'll be more fuel efficient and ready for the new grid when it comes along?
That's the way of the future. As many people as can get on public transportation, the better, but for individual automobile use, it's going to be an electrified system. People will plug in their cars. There'll be fully electric cars. There'll be plug-in hybrid electric cars. Now they're a small share of the market, both in the United States and internationally, but that share is growing very fast. Some countries are moving very quickly, like Norway is probably the world's leader in electrifying their automobile fleet. But the U.S. is going to be there soon, and we're seeing battery costs fall very quickly. So the global financial services firm UBS thinks that by 2020, battery costs will be cut in half, and thus an electric vehicle can be comparable with a traditional vehicle in terms of price. It'll have a very fast payback, and looking at buying an electric vehicle plus a rooftop solar system plus battery storage, we see that there'll be a payback of 8 years or less, and then homes and cars can get that power for free from the sun.
So cheaper, better batteries solve all kinds of problems for clean energy, especially solar.
It's amazing how much the battery technology has improved. It's still about a decade or so behind solar PV in terms of the cost drop, so costs have not fallen quite enough yet, but I think it's any day now. We'll be seeing it, and people, when they're looking to buy a car, they're going to be looking for electric or hybrid electric.
Okay, great. On the other hand, the U.S. is now in kind of a new energy boom using fracking and horizontal drilling to get natural gas and oil, and not always in the most environmentally friendly way. So might this affect or slow the clean energy revolution, and might it be exported to other countries, or what do you see the impact being?
I think a lot of countries are watching the United States and our fracking boom. China in particular has tried to figure out how they're going to access their deposits in shale formations, and they've found it's just not as easy as they originally projected, and I think that's part of the reason why China's really going gung-ho on all these other renewables. It's just not going to work everywhere around the world like it is here, and we would even question whether it's really working here very well, or if it's just prolonging the inevitable. The depletion rates on a fracked natural gas well are measured in months. They're not measured in years or decades. So we're perforating the ground with all these wells. We're allowing methane to seep up out of these wells, methane being a very potent greenhouse gas. And the risk is, if we build out this natural gas infrastructure to expand our use of natural gas for both electricity production and for transportation, we'll be basically building a bridge to nowhere. It's not a lasting energy future like the transition to renewable energy would be.
Of course, there are water problems with fracking and possibly earthquake problems, which is
It's been amazing. It's been amazing to see that now there's more earthquakes in Oklahoma than in California last year, and that is all centered around these hydraulic fracking and wastewater injection sites. Things you never would think of Oklahoma or Ohio having earthquakes before, but now we're able to create them. It's pretty astonishing, and that's one of the reasons why there's 400 communities around the United States that have actually taken action to put forth moratoria on fracking, or make sure that it'll be harder for these natural gas and oil companies to come into their communities, because people who have to live with it have been, they complain about the health effects. Everybody's concerned about the water supply, the trucking in and out, these big heavy infrastructures. It's not a pretty thing to look at a fracking site.
So we need to move to clean energy as quickly as possible and not be misled by false alternatives.
I think we have a limited amount of time to solve the climate problem, and we have a limited amount of resources, and that's why we're really hopeful about wind and solar, because the costs have fallen such that they're competitive with fossil fuels in many parts of the world, and they're deployable incredibly rapidly. So we don't have to take the time to build huge centralized power plants necessarily. We can put up solar panels on our rooftops or erect wind turbines very quickly.
Okay, great. Thanks very much.
Thank you.